Former President Donald Trump is again going on the offensive against the man many say is his biggest threat to securing the 2024 Republican primary nomination. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on social media yesterday. Trump ripped DeSantis for the crowd size at an event he spoke at in New York City this week, calling it, quote, small and unenthusiastic. He also blasted Fox News for covering the event while ignoring a recent rally of his own. In a second post, Trump unveiled a new nickname for DeSantis, Ron DeSanctus, an apparent playoff of his previous Ron DeSanctimonious.
That's the Boston Red Sox of political nicknames. It's not going far.
I know. Listen,
it's not going far this year.
Lemire, it's not going to be Meatball because
Meatball Ron didn't.
Your Meatball did filed us. Meatball Ron was the winner, though.
Is not going to be used in this way.
Why is that?
All right, Meatball.
Yeah, why is he not using Meatball Ron?
First of all, Joe, would you like to talk about your experience at the Miami International Airport?
Oh. No, I really wouldn't.
I would just like to say for you, thanks, Ron DeSantis.
Oh, I do have to say this, speaking of. So, obviously, Willie, when we go to the Miami International Airport, it's horrible. And we say, thanks, Ron DeSantis.
Because it's just
a joke.
Terrible.
Right. The whole conceit of the joke is that people would, like, during COVID, people
I have COVID. Thanks, Joe Biden.
People would go to go to Piggly Wiggly, and there would be 4 brands of spaghetti, but not 5. And they would look into their phone and go, thanks, Joe Biden. Right? So the whole conceit of it is, of course, it's not Ron DeSantis' fault that all the escalators in Miami International Airport don't work, right? That nothing works there. It's not his fault, but we say it making light of the people who would blame Joe Biden for, only 4 brands of spaghetti sauce instead of 5 post-COVID. We got actually a letter, an official letter from a Florida official explaining to us that it wasn't really Ron DeSantis' fault.
But he could do something. FYI.
With the letterhead and everything?
And so that's the whole joke. And so it's the joke. And I'm sitting there thinking, so did Brick Tamland have somebody else send us an I Love Lamp letter? Or what, anyway, very, very funny.
Yeah.
But
Miami-Dade County is the jurisdiction there, as you've pointed out many times over the course of the long-running joke. It is a travesty, by the way, for a city as beautiful and, by the way, cool and forward-looking as Miami to not have an airport that matches the vibe of the rest of the city. Something white,
I think Ron would care about this,
modern,
so I thank him very much for the.
All right, Mika, thank you for that.
Disgusting experience.
Anyway,
you
are
I think
right.
Mika means it. Whereas you're making the joke.
And I keep explaining to her, Mika, the ragu. You can't blame the ragu going up at the Publix in Central Florida on Ron DeSantis. All right?
In Trumpsboro, you can do anything you want.
But it is incredibly stupid. All this, thanks Joe Biden, thanks Joe Biden.
It's so stupid.
Again, things that have nothing to do with Biden. Yeah. But anyway, we digress. Donald Trump went on to praise Charlie Crist. Went on to praise Charlie Crist. In the Truth Social thing. And so I'm sort of evolving, Willie. I grow. I sort of evolve and grow. And I'm doing it today. And while DeSantis is not in the race, if Donald Trump keeps attacking him on small, stupid things like this, it actually makes Donald Trump look more desperate every single day. Yeah. So DeSantis not responding when he's not an announced candidate actually looks like a pretty good play because, Trump can't even, he goes from DeSanctimonious to Meatball Ron.
Don't you do that.
To DeSanctus.
Not my meatball.
I mean, come on. That's not even, it's not
He's not even trying, Joe. He's not even trying.
Willie?
No, he's not. I don't know. It's like he's workshopping in public. I want you to do the work in private and then come to us when you've decided.
One could argue that putting something on Truth Social is basically doing it in private, if you consider how small his following is.
You make a good point, John. You make a good point. But Joe is right that Donald Trump is behaving like the upstart. He was president of the United States. That's very worried about Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, who was in Staten Island, made this tour of Philadelphia and Chicago and other cities to talk about crime, which is strange for a governor of Florida who, unless you're going to run for president, maybe it makes some more sense. But he does. He's clearly, of all the people we've seen so far flirting with or getting into the race, like Nikki Haley, it is Ron DeSantis who is most on the mind of Donald Trump.
Yeah, and this is what you do if DeSantis is trying someone you're trying to elevate, and so that should be the opposite of what Trump is trying to do. I mean, it's people around Trump. Look, they can protest all they want. DeSantis is the guy they're worried about. They see that the anti-Trump movement seems, at least for now, is coalescing around DeSantis. Now, could that change? Could DeSantis' support fall as he steps onto the national stage and gets vetted and more voters get to know him and perhaps don't like him? All of that is possible. But right now, DeSantis is the guy. And the more Trump lashes out, I agree with Joe. It looks panicky. It looks like he's trying to short circuit him.
Looks like he's definitely the guy.
Yeah, it makes DeSantis more of the guy. Like it just sort of it makes Trump as if he's narrowing down the race to a one-on-one, when, as we've discussed on the show frequently, the best thing that could happen for Trump would be if it was a large field. He should be attacking a bunch of folks, not just DeSantis, and not elevate him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, rule in politics, one of the first rules, especially if you're in a strong position, you don't punch down. I mean, Donald Trump, like you said, president of the United States, was president of the United States. You look at every poll, I think he's ahead in most polls in the Republican Party. Every time he punches down at a guy that's below him in the polls, a guy who wasn't president of the United States, a guy who doesn't have the following that Donald Trump at least once had, he's just elevating him. And it's also, when he starts talking about crowd sizes, that immediately takes you back to South Carolina, where he was supposed to have this huge rally. It ended up just sort of being something where, people and, Lindsey Graham, a couple of hound dogs wandered
unhappy
in.
people.
I mean, it just wasn't a happy
When you look at the people on the stage, you can tell the
Mm-hmm.
audience is no good, is small.
Well, okay, Mika, okay. So thanks, Ron DeSantis. But anyway, it just, it doesn't, the strategy doesn't really make any sense, does it, Willie?
No, it doesn't. And it does, you're right, that Ron DeSantis, people say, why isn't he punching back at Donald Trump? He doesn't have to. He actually looks like the bigger figure in this fight so far.
Yeah, he does. And I think there is no strategy. And I think a lot of it is reactionary, Mika, where it's Donald Trump, as he did as a candidate, as president, and now he's seeing something on Fox News and he's reacting to it. That's part of these truths. Social posts as well that are basically conducted in darkness, is that he's also been complaining about Fox News covering DeSantis. And I think that's part of this as well. It's just setting him off.
He's really triggered.